Sorry I haven't been making a lot of videos. I had this guy to deal with. So today in this video we're going to be talking about the character of William Li. Not exactly who he is because you can read his biography, but his character traits that make him a great CEO. And we're going to dive deep, and this is going to serve as some analysis and research for you guys to better understand who's leading this company, because he's a very good leader. You agree? I know you agree. Make sure you hit the like, it really helps me out a lot. And also sub and hit the bell. William Li is a visionary and a perfectionist and a downright very humble guy. Before he founded NIO, he talked about how he thought about creating this EV company for 2 years. So he had been planning everything out for 2 years. And during that process, he discussed with other big bosses, for example, the founder and CEO of Xiaomi, the boss of JD.com, Li Xiang, which is also an early investor of NIO, but later became the CEO of Li Auto. And he really thought about learning from not only his own mistakes, but also from other people's mistakes. So he carefully observed Tesla, what they're doing, and he thought about how they can compete with Tesla, and not only compete, but become better than Tesla, and in the future, one day, possibly even dethrone Tesla. But in order to do that, they gotta take everything that Tesla is doing that's good, but also learn from their mistakes and improve on whatever Tesla is doing. So he's a visionary in the sense that he sees everything 20 steps ahead. He has everything planned out, he and his co-founder, Qin Li Hong. And also he's a very downright humble guy. You know, he himself, he founded Yichuan, and that also went public on the New York Stock Exchange before NIO. So he's actually quite wealthy and quite rich, but he still had to introduce himself to many other bosses and many other people that might not know who he is. He keeps a low profile. But at the same time, one thing that you guys will probably really like is how he himself tries to live a very normal life. What I mean by that is he totally could have gotten a private jet, but instead he takes the high-speed train to go from Shanghai to Beijing. And Beijing is where he lives. I'm also in Beijing, but Shanghai is where NIO's headquarters are. So he has to go back and forth very often. And he just takes the high-speed train instead of like a private jet. He saves money. He sits in economy, eating just the regular cheap meals. And even though we consider him to be extremely successful and wealthy, he has a home in Beijing, but he doesn't waste his money, or he doesn't live in high-end hotels or buy a house in Shanghai. He rents a small 2-bedroom apartment in Shanghai where the rent is actually affordable by everyday working class people. And when NIO was expanding in China to different cities, he has to go to these different cities, and he would sometimes often go by himself and leave his assistant and try not to bother the daily routine of his assistant. And you can see him at the airport sometimes, just maybe eating an ice cream cone or something like that. He's a very downright humble guy. He doesn't like flash his wealth or do anything crazy like most of the rich people do. Buy crazy boats, etc. He's not into that. But at the same time, he's also a very thankful person. Back in 2019, when NIO almost went bankrupt because of cash burn and everything, they were losing a ton of money, almost went bankrupt, but NIO owners continued to trust in the company, and it was during this time that some NIO owners chose to buy a second NIO or even a third NIO to support the company. And he's always been very thankful to those NIO owners that pulled them out of the grave. And the founding NIO owners, those founders, the first 10,000 NIO owners who put their blind trust in the company. Before being even able to test drive the car, before the car even had internet, he's forever thankful to those NIO owners. And you can tell every time there's NIO Day, a new product launches, there's always a special pricing for those founders. They are customers, but they are very much like the early shareholders who put their faith and money into the company. He's also a very hands-on type of guy. Guys, if you haven't already done so, please check out Moomoo. If you sign up, you can get 15 free stocks, and also it really helps me out a lot. They have a lot of good tools and analysis to help you make better investments. So definitely go check them out. Link down in the description below. Whenever there's a problem within the company, he tackles it head on instead of trying to avoid problems. For example, when NIO first got started, NIO was originally supposed to build their own factory with the money that they got from listing in New York Stock Exchange, but instead they chose to collab with JAC, Jianghuai, and that got a lot of people questioning them. And even to this day, there's still people questioning NIO because Jianghuai is known for making cheap trucks and never high-end vehicles. Many people doubted NIO that this automobile company, Jianghuai JAC, can't produce good, luxury, high-quality electric vehicles. Even inside NIO, a lot of employees were doubting the same thing. There was doubt in their minds. So what did he do? He held this conference face on, head on, with his employees to discuss this thing head on. You know, from that meeting, there came the famous quote. He said, their factory with JAC in Hefei, factory number 1, is more technologically advanced than Porsche's factory in Germany. And that quote went very, very viral back then. You can also see him put himself in the shoes of a NIO owner to experience what it's like in the car. You can very often see him complain about his own products, where it can be changed, what needs to be made, talking to the design team head on, and even this was a really interesting story when NIO's highway swap system was fully online from Shanghai to Beijing. You know, he was supposed to have dinner that day with NIO's co-founder, Qin Hong, but he said, screw it, I'm gonna go drive back to Beijing in my NIO and test the swap stations myself to see if there's any problems. And obviously that got Qin Hong very worried, man. He was thinking, oh my God, is my team ready for this? So he's a very hands-on kind of guy. At the same time, he's a very truthful and respectful person. Truthful in the sense that if he's going to promise something to NIO owners, he's going to deliver, and he's never going to disobey his own promise. And respectful in the sense that every single complaint that comes in is a great opportunity for him to improve. Whereas if you see with some of the other companies, like, for example, Li Auto, you can actually see there are videos online of him shouting at his customers and arguing with them. You know, I talk about cash burn a lot in my channel. And of course, many people have also asked him about cash burn, his employees as well as other NIO owners worried about cash burn like myself. This is what he said, which was really going to shock you. He said there will always be people that shave off the wool from the sheep and sell that wool. Of course, this is all in Chinese, but metaphorically it means, you know, people taking advantage of NIO's gratitude and kindness. And we've seen a lot of those where NIO has compensated NIO owners greatly for NIO's own mistake, but we're not going to get into that in that video. I have videos of that already. But he said if you put your heart and trust into your customers, they will be very loyal to you. And that is indeed correct. There's a lot of brand stickiness with NIO owners. They're super proud of being a NIO owner. And probably their next car is also going to be a NIO. We're all spoiled in the sense that any other brand will never give us the same service experience or ownership experience that a NIO does. In that essence, cash burn is justified. And those NIO owners will recommend their friends and family about how great the company is and expand the community. And of course, it's working. William Li is a very unselfish guy, and he's a great leader. And guys, I want to make it very clear that I don't hate on NIO, the company. I love it. I love NIO. It's such a fantastic company. I got a lot of good stuff to say, but of course, due to lots of economic conditions and things that I'm seeing, you know, the company is great. But because of everything I'm seeing, in my opinion, I think the stock price could go down further. All right? Just want to make it very clear, it's nothing bad against the company. It's all good stuff, but there's a lot of factors that are dragging us down. But I'll save that for another video. Make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell. All right? Stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out. Love you guys all.